to do a quick video about some tips and tricks on breastfeeding that I wish I would have known along the way on my journey of breastfeeding. So I have two boys, if you're new to my channel and do not know. I have Titan, who will be 2 in 3 weeks, and then I have Saint, who is 6 months old. I breastfed both of them. However, the first time around with Titan, I only made it exclusively breastfeeding till about 6 weeks, and then I was supplementing up until 4 months, and then I switched over to purely giving him formula. Saint, on the other hand, we just reached this past weekend, so 2 days ago, our 6-month mark. So I have exclusively breastfed him for 6 months, which is pretty exciting for me. So in our next goal, we are trying to reach exclusively breastfeeding. I can't talk. But anyway, I am not a lactation consultant of any type, and I'm not in the medical field. This is just my own personal journey of things that I picked up along the way that I wish maybe I would have known the first time around. So hopefully this helps you out. All my boobs are completely different than your boobs, not a lactation consultant, but I just want to share these tips that I learned along the way, which helped me out, which I think is the reason I've been successful so far and been able to exclusively breastfeed. So if you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, click the subscribe button below, and let's get started. First things first, seek advice. The first time around when I was pregnant, I knew I wanted to breastfeed, but I never really, I was so fixated on the actual birth, and like I was terrified of giving birth. So like throughout the duration of my pregnancy, I was always watching birthing videos, and I went to birthing classes, and I knew I wanted to breastfeed, but for some reason it never was like, oh, you should research about breastfeeding. I guess I just thought it would come naturally, and there's so much more that goes behind breastfeeding. It's not just like you put the baby on the boob, the milk comes, baby eats, happy ever after. Like, no. I did end up the first time around speaking to a lactation consultant when I lost my milk supply. So at that point, they did give me tips on what I should do. They're so nice and helpful. You know, a question is never dumb. So don't think, I was asking things that I thought were like, oh God, she's gonna think I probably sound kind of dumb asking that. No, ask. They're so helpful. They're there to help you. They want to help you through this journey. So I definitely recommend either taking a breastfeeding class before you give birth, after you give birth, and then continuing to consult with a lactation consultant. There's also lots of breastfeeding classes. Those aren't for me. I'm just not that person to like do that, but I know they're helpful. So one thing that I do though, I'm always like on social media. Everyone's on social media these days. I follow breastfeeding pages on Instagram. So I'll just be like scrolling through, and even to this day, I learn little things just on posts that they'll, like pictures that they'll post every day. Next, your diet is also important. I know that you see things like, don't eat spicy food, this may give your baby blah, 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 blah. I don't know. One thing I do know though, oatmeal. I did learn this the first time when I first started losing my milk supply with my older son, and I did start eating an oatmeal packet the doctors recommended every morning, and I did see my milk supply increase. So that is important. So you can eat oatmeals. There's also lots of different companies that make little treats. There's like protein bars, oatmeal balls, oatmeal, I don't know what they are, but there's all different types of little treats you can eat too if you don't like oatmeal that help you keep your supply up as well. So diet is very important when it comes to eating what your body needs that helps increase that milk supply. So if eating oatmeal or other dietary things don't help you, there are also supplements that you can take. My doctor recommended, and I also would either speak to a lactation consultant or your doctor before taking it. They recommended fenugreek. So this is something, I don't know if you can see it, fenugreek. You can get it like health food stores, or you can definitely get it at like some retail stores, popular retail stores like Target and stuff will have it sometimes. If not, you can always get it like Whole Foods, or I get mine off Amazon, just because who doesn't get everything in life off Amazon. Anyway, this does help increase your milk supply as well. The one thing you have to be careful about when you are taking fenugreek though is that it can cause your baby to have gas. So if you notice that, maybe lay off of it. There are other supplements that you can take as well that don't have the same things as fenugreek, which also will help increase your milk supply, but don't have the potential of causing fenugreek. I don't know if fenugreek is like stronger or what. It was just what was recommended by my oldest son's pediatrician, and then the lactation consultant as well. I have found another type on Amazon. If you just type in like fenugreek, all the different types of variations will come up. And I did try one of those. It didn't increase my milk as much, but now I don't take them just because I don't want to become reliant on them. They have me taking 9 a day. Like that's a lot of pills. But you gotta do what you gotta do if you are trying to keep it going. Next is pumping. Pumping. I personally hate pumping. That was a lot of P's. Anyway, I could go on for days about pumping. Pumping is not my favorite thing. I just am not one. Anyway, back to pumping. It is so important to, if you are not going to bottle feed your baby, which a lot of people don't like to do, that's not for me. Okay. I need some help. I'm going to pump the milk. If I'm going to make the milk, someone else can feed the baby the milk. Okay. Not always. I do feed him from me as well, but I like to get sleep too. Who doesn't? A lot of working moms. I am a working mom. I work full time. But pumping is so important. So I pump every 2.5 to 3 hours. And then if I'm not nursing him, and then sometimes I nurse in between as well. The baby can always pull more milk than the pump did. So that's something to remember that I didn't realize the first time around. So I may pump and then I stop making milk. So I think, oh, I'm done. But you can take a 10-minute break and then nurse your baby and they will be able to pull milk from you. So when it comes to pumping also, there are so many different types of pumps, which is good to research it. I use a Medela. I had 2 different types. I had one type with my oldest son and another with my youngest son. They were both Medelas, but they were different versions. This one that I have is quiet. I have the Sonata, and I like it a lot. You know, you can charge them, so then you can use them on the go. I pump in the car a lot. Like I said, I am a working mother, so it's nice having a quiet pump compared to the first Medela that I had. I don't know what it was, but it literally sounded like a dying donkey. Like, bruh. It was loud. So this pump works for me. So do research. There are hands-free pumps. There are ones that you can plug in like in your car on the car charger. It just depends. There's different ones to fit everyone's lifestyle. You just really have to research to find the one. Also, there is a hands-free pump. This is called, I don't know what it's called. I don't know if I pronounce it like a Haka, like a silicone hand pump. That's what you call it. So this little handheld pump you just like flip it back like this, and you can put it on your boob, on the nipple when you're nursing your baby on the other one, because when you have a letdown, your body tells just to let the milk down. It doesn't always tell it just to let it out of the breast that the baby's on. So you know you got milk then like spraying everywhere, flooding, doing whatever's happening. My milk was everywhere. So this, you can just put it on there. You don't have to mess with it. It just latches on, and then it catches that excess milk. So rather than wasting that milk, having it on your shirt and everything, you then have more milk that you can save. So whether you want to freeze it and get your supply up, or whatever you want to do with it. But yes, also power pumping. Power pumping is when you pump for long periods of time, take a small break, continue to pump more. So for example, they will suggest that you pump for 20 minutes, take a 10-minute break, pump again for another 20 minutes. This basically triggers your brain to tell your body that, hey, we need to make more milk. This will help build your supply. But adding on to that, I started when my son was about a week old, I started pumping. My goal that I had for myself was to freeze 1 bag of milk per day. And that way I knew when it was time to go back to work, I would have a supply already frozen. So sometimes, even now, I have my goal that I want to have 4 bottles per day. That's not always realistic. So some days I'm super busy at work. Even though my timer's going off, I can't stop to pump. I mean, I can, but there's so much going on that I don't. I let myself get in the moment and I may miss a pump. Secondly, some days your body just won't produce what you need it to produce, and that's natural. And along with being a full-time mom working and having to pump all at work all day, it is hard because I have to make sure to schedule every 2.5 to 3 hours, no matter what I'm doing at work. I have to set myself a timer. There's also lots of apps that you can find which help you track how often you should be pumping, how many ounces you should be getting, if you have a certain quota that you want to meet in regards to like ounces per day. So for example, I send 16 ounces of milk per day to school with my son. So I need to have 4 bottles with at least 4 ounces every day. By the time I leave work, I like to have that supply already pumped throughout the day, because when I come home, I nurse him because he misses out on that throughout the day. So everyone doesn't always make an abundance of milk. I'm not one of those people. My body makes most days exactly what my baby needs. So I'm not overproducing milk where I have on an average day 2 extra bags that I can freeze. When I say my body knows what my baby needs, it will literally be, I will pump 4 ounces. That's it. Like on the line of 4 ounces. My body is not playing. Like you can't get an extra half an ounce. Not today. So if you produce a lot of milk, good for you. If not, I highly recommend starting to build your supply early, because that way when you go back to work, like I said, it's one less thing to worry about. On days that I don't meet my, my milk supply, if I want 4 bottles and I only have 3 by the next morning saved up, I know that I have plenty of milk that I can thaw out. Or if I want to go somewhere with my husband for the weekend, we have milk that I can leave. I don't have to rely on, oh, I don't know if I have a lot of milk, so I don't want to leave the baby, or I can't. I can still do me, and he can do him with the milk. Okay? And lastly, support. So I mentioned like the lactation consultants, breastfeeding classes, groups, all of that. But if you have a significant other or someone that's there that's helping you, rely on them. Let them help you. In general, when you have a baby, having a baby is hard. So shout out to all the people who do it by themselves, because I cannot even imagine. This week my husband's in New York and it's a lot. So shout out to you. But if you do have someone who's there who help you, let them take some of the stress off of you. My husband's amazing at, I spend so much time pumping and breastfeeding the baby that he takes over cleaning my pump. So there are so many different parts, you've got the bottle and then there's like 4 other parts putting it together. And then times 2, because you have one for each side, I double pump. He washes all of that every single time. So one thing I recommend though, if you don't have someone who can help you always, or you're in a rush when you're at work, there is the Medela spray. I don't know if you can see that. So it's called a quick clean breast pump spray. So it's almost like a hand sanitizer. So if you are on the go and don't always have time or a sink or anything like that, it is really important to stay sanitary when you're breastfeeding, just because you don't want germs. The milk's going directly to your baby, so you just don't want germs to get in there. So I do recommend this. If you are going to be on the go, you can just spray your pump down all of the parts if you're not around somewhere where you can thoroughly wash it. So that is all for today's video. I hope you were able to learn something one way or another. This breastfeeding journey is not for everyone. I am not one to push breastfeeding down someone's throat. I think as long as your baby is fed, healthy, and thriving, that is the most important thing. You learn things along the way. Like I said, I stopped the first time exclusively breastfeeding at 6 weeks and gave my baby formula, which was not ideal. But what was ideal was for him to be fed, healthy, and happy. And that's exactly what happened when I was able to supplement with formula. So if you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, click the subscribe button, and as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.